I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight today, we're shining a light on Stone Carter. He is the dynamic, faith-based writer behind the captivating series, When Promise Falls. Carter is an experienced coach, athlete, and evangelist, and he weaves tales of despair turned to hope, focusing on individuals whose lives are dramatically transformed by God's grace. His series kicks off with the story of Bobby Ridell, a high school basketball prodigy from Hoboken, New Jersey, whose life takes a sudden dark turn, leading him to a divine encounter that changes absolutely everything. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his wonderful book. The links are below this interview. Stone, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that wonderful introduction. I hope I'm worthy.
Oh, absolutely, you're worthy. I loved your story. When you started writing about Bobby Ridell and talking about him, I had to Google him to see if he was a real person or not, because it felt so real. That's a good thing. So
you're very kind. Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about Bobby's story and
Sure.
Your book.
Sure. Well, Bobby's kind of an unbelievable young man. And, I wrote it because I feel like our youth of today are under all kinds of pressure, from bullying to cell phone bullying, and I just feel like they need some encouragement, and that when they get to the end and they feel like all's lost, it's not lost. And I just felt, I didn't grow up being a writer. My elementary school teachers, if they knew I was writing, would be kind of shocked. They're all dead now, but they would say, "He's writing? Are you serious?"
My teachers would say the same thing. So,
but they, for me, I just felt God calling and saying, "Hey, you through coaching, I encountered kids that had just brutality from a lot of different places, whether it's from home or whether it's from teachers, or whether, and most normally, from classmates."
Yeah.
And I just wanted to encourage them. And, we would, on the ball field and on the basketball court, we would talk about more than basketball or baseball. We talked more about life situations and where you are and how receptive you are to God's calling, and to let go and let God take over, and not struggle so much. But I saw a number of kids, to answer your question, I don't mean to go around my elbow to get to my hand, but to answer your question, it really is, I have seen and been around too much suicide, too many kids taking their own lives. And that's the point Bobby was at. He was disgraced. He had been thrown in jail, eventually prison. His friends turned their back on him. The only person he could count on was Corinne, who ends up being his love at the end of the book. And she's developed a lot more in the second book, her character, but she was the only one that stayed with him. And I think kids today feel that pressure, that there's nowhere else to turn. There's no one to talk to. Therapists are hard to find. Good friends are hard to find. So I just wanted to encourage them. That's really what it was.
Well, I think it's great. I mean, it sounds like, Bobby is a fictional story, but it's kind of rooted in reality. And this book is rooted in your life. You're a man of faith. You're also a man of sports. And in this book, you've combined the two, right?
Correct. Yeah. And the challenges that sports presents young people is symbolistic of the challenges they face every day. They walk in school, they walk down a hall. It doesn't matter where they are. Those challenges and those pressures are coming.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to encourage them that it's not the end. It's not the end of the road. When they think it is. I mean, in my life, in my testimony, I had gone through storms, just challenges.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I was ready to end it all. And at that point, Jesus said, "No, I got plans for you. We're going to do some things." And so my sister led me to the Lord, and we, through a series of events after that, I began to understand. It wasn't sudden or instantaneous, but I began to understand the hope that's in Jesus and the hope that he gives and his grace gives us.
Exactly. And, the story of Jesus of itself is a story of hope and redemption. I
Absolutely.
mean, he went through everything in life, born the Son of God, betrayed by his friends, crucified, and he overcame death. So there's inspiration in the story of Jesus as well. Let's talk about the series When Promise Falls. Is
Mhm.
this the first book? Where does it fall in the series? Tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you. It's the first book. There's another one coming out in early summer. It's called When Promise Falls Redemption,
Mhm.
and it talks about Bobby's life. He ends up. Oh gosh,
Sure.
I don't want to tell the
Yeah,
ending,
don't
but
tell too much. Yeah.
yeah,
But it picks
but
up on Bobby's life,
it's
and I
very
guess
encouraging what happens with it. Very encouraging,
wonderful.
and the whole crux of it is he goes to prison, and he thinks it's the end of the road.
Right.
And he thinks it's all over for him. Little does he know that the competition that he's playing while in prison is better than anything he ever
Right.
had in high school.
Yeah.
And so he comes out bigger, stronger, faster. And the only school, after other schools were recruiting him, the only school to give him a chance was a small Christian school in Virginia. So
Hmm.
that takes us to book 2, Redemption. And in there, Bobby is drafted. He joins an NBA team. He was an early draft pick, made all kinds of money, but it didn't matter to him. Sharing the gospel and making sure people hear the gospel is his priority. So eventually he walks away from it and enters the mission field and goes to a pretty rough place. But I can't tell anymore because I
Sure.
don't want to give away
Don't want
that
to give it
ending.
away.
Right.
Absolutely. So the first book is called Promise Falls. The second
When
book is
Promise
called
Falls.
Promise
Mhm.
Falls Redemption.
Redemption is the second book.
Okay,
Yes.
wonderful. How many
Thank
books are
you.
you envisioning in all?
Well, in that series 3, I've got 2 other books coming out next month. One is called The Other Side of the Door,
Mhm.
not sports related at all. A young lady married with 2 kids put her husband through college and medical school only to have him turn around and abuse her
Hmm.
emotionally and physically. So now she has to start over. And it's
Right.
the story of how she started over through her faith in Jesus that carried her through. She ends up being a door-to-door salesperson. It's
Gotcha.
called The Other Side of the Door.
Very, very
And
interesting. Yeah, you never know who's going to be on the other side of the door when somebody
you
knocks
never
on it.
know.
Yeah, yeah.
You never know.
And you
And
also
then
never know what burden they're carrying, That's when
eh,
you encounter a
that
stranger.
is exactly
Yeah,
correct.
yeah,
And her each chapter is another knock on the door.
yeah. Wonderful. That sounds
Thank
great.
you.
Have you envisioned your books perhaps as a TV series or movie? I know Touched by an Angel was a long time ago. We could use a series that has some good Christian values, that offers hope, that offers redemption, that has a moral.
Well, you're very kind to think that. I was contacted about 2 weeks ago by a producer, and we're having conversations now. But
Yeah,
I never set out to do that.
right,
I don't care if I ever sell a book. I just want
right.
young people to be encouraged.
Yeah,
But yeah, we've had some conversations, and there aren't enough happy ending, good stories in my mind out there. And there weren't, Logan. There are not a lot of Christian fictional writers, and books from here on forward will have more suspense. This When Promise Falls has some good suspense, but the
right.
books 2, 3, and 4 will be filled with suspense and action, kind of to appeal to the younger crowd. But
Yeah.
it'll all be 100% clean. It'll be glorifying Jesus because that's why he's called me to write.
Wonderful,
So
wonderful.
yeah.
There's not only too few Christian writers out there are too few books and TV shows and movies that Christians should consume because
Correct.
they delve in depravity and perversion 80% of the time, I'd say these days. So,
Yep,
it's
you are right.
amazing what's out there and what passes for entertainment.
It's I'll add one thing, Logan, and thank
Yeah.
you for saying that. And I do appreciate that. And I agree with you. And that's why I'm writing. When the producer called on the second call, she said, I want to develop Corinne more. I want to develop Bobby's mother more. And I want to develop Flip, really the bad guy in the book, that for the movie script, they want to develop them a little more. I didn't have time in trying to keep it at 50,000 words.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. But, well, your work is out there now, so hopefully it does wind up in the right person's hands and does want to, because, by spreading your book and, by being in different forms of media, you're helping spread the word, which is important as well. So when did you first get this writing bug? You're quite prolific in your writing.
I appreciate that. I actually had Bobby Ridell on my mind when I was a 5th grade basketball player.
Okay.
I don't know where the name came from. I just, that was a character that I had been thinking about developing. And, in the working world, you kind of put other projects when you have children. My wife and I have been married 43 years, so 3 girls, and keeping them fed and clothed and in college was a priority at that time. I don't think writing's tough. The world of writing's tough.
Right.
But
it's better to keep it for your retirement years, or
exactly.
It's tough to make a living as a writer, that's for sure. And you got to
it's so inconsistent. Yeah, I'm sorry, excuse me.
All of the arts. If you can make money in the arts, you have some kind of magic spell, because it's difficult, that's for sure. But we're glad you're writing. We're glad that you're spreading your Christian faith through your words, and I think that's really important. Final question I got to ask you, just out of curiosity. Sure. You wrote about Bobby being from Hoboken. Are you familiar with Hoboken? Is that why you chose it?
Well, I'm from New Jersey originally. I was born in Philadelphia, but grew up in New Jersey. And I wanted to have a tie-in with New York because of Rucker Park. That's where all the basketballs played in New York City, at Rucker Park. And I wanted a character, at least in my mind, that had the opportunity to go over there. But so many of them are from New York. I said,
that's true. That's why it felt real. When you said he was from Hoboken, I'm like, Hoboken? Is this guy real? Yeah. It was really, really great. Really great.
That's what I was hoping for, was that reaction.
Exactly. Well, it's a wonderful, wonderful book written by Stone Carter. In fact, it's a part of a series. First book is called When Promise Falls. Carter, who's an experienced coach, athlete, and evangelist, weaves a great story. He takes despair and turns it to hope, and he focuses on the life of a young basketball player in high school, Bobby Ridell from Hoboken, New Jersey. It's a great story. It's one of several books that are coming out in this series. The next one is called Redemption, and you'll want to read them all. In Hollywood, if you're listening, let's put something good out there that a family can watch. It's about time. Carter, thank you so much for Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you, Logan. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you.
Pleasure's all mine. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.